Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and you're going to see me get very laser focused. And what I mean by that is, as an XRP holder, the retail investor continues to sit on the sidelines, and I don't see that retail investor coming to a FOMO position like we saw in 2017 anytime soon. So it is really a little ridiculous to focus on that. What I'm going to focus on is, number one, the new corridors that are using the ODL, on-demand liquidity. This is going to increase the number of XRP holders. Those are the holders that hold those big piles of XRP, as David talks about, around the globe to provide liquidity. This is required in order to make a significant impact on the demand, which has a direct correlation on price. Secondly, I'm going to focus on the use case and the growth of the developments that come out of spring. Now, it could be the new Song app that was just released this last weekend in a beta form, or it could be looking for that release in regards to Forte and how they're going to use the XRP that they were given in the gaming industry. Also, we have to look at Coil, and we got to also pay attention to what Hodor is doing. He went underground about a month ago, and I am just sure he's developing something. I'm not exactly sure what it is or when we will hear from him, but I assume it is going to be on the XRP ledger, and I just want Hodor to know that we are chomping at the bit. The third thing I'm going to pay attention to is regulations. Those are the regulations worldwide, because these three things are what is going to have a direct impact on the price. Everything else to me is just white noise. So I want to talk about at Swell, the Australian payments company FlashFX. They announced on the 7th that they are going to use the on-demand liquidity ODL between Australia and the Philippines, with a target of incorporating other countries in the future. And this corridor is effective for the migrant workers sending money home. FlashFX foreign exchange is built on the Ripple blockchain, and it was founded by two ex-bankers, Nicolas Steiger and Michael O'Sullivan. Both of them were frustrated by the Aussie bank's monopoly on the international money transfer market. They had long delays, they had high hidden fees, and so FlashFX was born. Filipinos are the seventh largest migrant group in Australia, and using Ripple's ODL is the key to the future because it reduces the reliance on pre-funding at the destination. This is what everybody has to understand. It is what differentiates Ripple's technology from everything else in the space, and that is the digital asset XRP as a bridge currency. It is the most efficient digital asset for settlement, with fees of just a few cents compared to other digital asset fees, which can run you up to $30 per transaction. The new development that came out from FlashFX on December 2nd is also worthy of some focus here. They opened the ODL for Bitstamp exchange traders to fund instantly with the USD. Now, done with XRP as a bridge currency, it takes just minutes, not days, as it did before using SWIFT. They call it their NPP, their new payments platform. This fiat support with XRP on-demand liquidity is the key component to liquidity. I really, really want to drive that home. Here's a quote from Nicolas Steiger, the CEO. "It's been a long road for digital assets, but the end customer doesn't necessarily need or want to know how the transactions are being handled in the back end. They want the transparency, low cost, and above all else, speed of transactions." And I was just playing around with how much can I really save using their website. And you can see I was sending the Australian dollars to the Philippines, and I can save 186 Australian dollars when moving $5,000 across their platform. And you can see the comparisons to PayPal and ANZ and Westpac, etc. Now, I just happened to ask the live chat if they had ODL in another corridor other than the Philippines. And I got a very interesting answer. And this person took no time to answer me back. So they didn't have to go ask anybody. Immediately I got back and I was very clear. I was talking Ripple ODL for the on-demand liquidity by XRP. I was very, very clear. Is there any other country? Says, hi, we also use ODL for USD to Bitstamp. We know that. That was announced on December 2nd. And Japan is coming in Q1, I understand. Now, if I could tell you, the response came with such speed. I know Nicolas, who was the active person in this chat, knew and knows what he is talking about. And I said, so happy to know this. I'm in Tokyo. Super. Thanks so much. And that was the end of our conversation. I think it's pretty darn exciting. Okay, everybody, I am jumping to the fluff. I want to talk about Australia still. So this is the original Australian embassy. It was once owned by the land itself that it sat on was owned by the Hachisuka clan of Tokushima in Shikoku. Shikoku is a southern island. And if you understand how the Tokugawa shogunate used to balance power, he would move the families, the ruling families, the daimyo, the warlords, he would move them often. And they would also be required to come into Edo, which is the old name for Tokyo, because that allowed the shogun to really have a careful watch on all his warlords, and being close to your power, what proved to be very successful because they were able to continue that sort of structure for hundreds of years. So when the property, though, became available for sale after the country opened up to the West, the grandson, Marcus, built this beautiful home that is in the Art Deco style. He fell in love with Western architecture, actually, because he went to Cambridge University. So when he came back, this is the home that he built. In 1952, it was purchased by the Australian government, and they resided in this historic home until 1988. But in 1990, they decided to sell off a lot of the land. They sold off the lower garden, which had many 400-year-old trees. They kept the upper garden, but they built something quite contemporary, modern, big and beautiful. And it is, yeah, it's very impressive. I wish there was an embassies tour in Tokyo. I really need to start it because the embassy buildings that are built are very often done by world-renowned architects, and some of them are just so fabulous. I mean, just so many of them are. And I just, maybe I'm crazy, but if there was a tour by bus that you could take a few hours to go see some of the outstanding architecture that is reflected in these embassies, that would be a really, really fun tour. I would definitely pay, and I think a lot of tourists would do the same, but it sadly isn't that tour available. This is an aerial shot of the Australian embassy. You can see the size. It is really quite large. This is a lot of land. When you look at Tokyo, I mean, property is so expensive in Tokyo. This is a big piece of property still, even though they sold off part of that lower garden. All right, this is also in regards to an Australian mom who came to Tokyo. I have to get something here. I had the pleasure of meeting one of the XRP community members from Australia. They came to Tokyo during the XRP meetup, and I got together with her a couple of times. Her name is Ali, and we had a lot of fun. And she brought me some yummy souvenirs from Australia, one of which, I'm not sure this one falls into the yummy, but it probably does. She brought me some Vegemite. And I haven't opened this one yet, but there was a story just a couple of months ago of an Australian mom who made a Vegemite sandwich for her daughter in a Japanese school. Unfortunately, it hit the news because the school teacher was not so happy when the young Australian child opened up the box, and the teacher then went on to give a schooling to the mother to let her know that this is not an appropriate lunchbox for children. And I think the teacher was not trying to be mean to the mother. I think what the teacher meant to say is that the other kids might bully her, because all of the children who go to Japanese schools have these cute lunch boxes made by their moms, and they all compare. And if you don't have a lunchbox that is comparable, you might be subject to some bullying. And so I think the teacher was really actually not being angry at the mom for any more than just trying to look out for the welfare of the daughter. And I think it's a cultural difference, I know, and probably some of you are saying, oh, this is just beyond reasonable, this is going too far, and how can moms make a lunchbox that looks this cute every morning? Well, they do, and it is important for the young kids to be able to open their box and not be embarrassed. I have heard this on numerous occasions. So anyway, just take it for what it is. When you do come to Japan, if you have children in the Japanese schools, you're going to have to get very good at making these cute lunch boxes. And I will, Ali, try this Vegemite. I'm not exactly sure, maybe on some toasted bread. That sounds like the way I'm going to give it a try. So it'll be my first time. I actually have never tried it before. All right, everybody. Yes, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.